Hey guys, my name's Colin and this is my review of the Nike Juniper Trails. So normally for a sneaker review I like to get at least 100 kilometers in, but this sneaker isn't necessarily my type of shoe, so I'm cutting it out of the rotation after about 3 runs. But I decided to do a little review on it anyway because I think this is an option for some people and it's worth talking about it as a budget trail runner shoe from Nike. So starting off, let's talk about the fit. So these fit true to size. I'm a 10.5 in Nike and I've always been a 10.5, and the 10.5 in the Juniper Trails fit perfect. When you slip into the Juniper Trails, the initial step-in comfort is actually really nice. The feeling around the heel when you step in is really nice. It almost cups your heel really comfortably. It is a little bit wider in the forefoot. It will accommodate some people with a bit of a wider foot. If you like a little extra space vertically in the toe box, right here around the toes, there is a little extra space vertically. So next up is the traction. So as you can see here, it's very minimal lug traction here and just kind of some diamond shaped lugs here in the heel. So for the trails that I like to run, I found that these were kind of slipping out a little too much for me on some of the looser ground and some of the wetter rocks and roots that I like to jump over or jump onto. But I started to think after a couple runs in the Junipers that these are made more specifically for easier trails. So the traction pattern here is probably good for light gravel trails, kind of some light grassy trails, just not the more intense technical type of terrain that I kind of enjoy running on normally. So lighter trails, maybe even a little bit of road, these would be fine. Not so good on the technical and rooty and rocky trails. Next up is the cushion. It doesn't specify on the website what type of foam is inside the Juniper Trail, but I assume it's just like either an EVA or a Phylon midsole. If you enjoy ground feel, these will be really nice. When you first step in, it does feel a little bouncy. It's not like a crazy cushion setup, but it's just enough so you feel a nice little bit of step-in comfort. However, there's no rock plate here and it isn't a huge stack of cushion. There isn't necessarily a lot of protection underneath here. That makes for a very good ground feel. If you enjoy a lot of ground feel, these aren't too bad to run on some of the more technical trails, but the lack of protection underneath for me wasn't enough. But like I said before, if you're just taking these on some lighter trails, I think the cushion setup might be enough for you. Just not necessarily on some of the harsher stuff because you're going to feel some of those sharp rocks and the roots underneath your foot with that lack of protection and cushion underneath. Moving on to the upper. So the upper of the Juniper Trail is actually one of my favorite parts about it. I just think it looks cool and it's kind of got these old school materials. It has flywire lacing system. It has kind of like leatherish, I don't know if it's real leather, but over the toe box, and some more of that here through the ankle and heel area, and just some fairly breathable mesh here through the midfoot. It's a gusseted one booty kind of upper. The tongue is comfortable. It doesn't really move around because it's stuck in there. And generally, especially when I pulled these out of the box, I thought, oh wow, these are gonna be lasting a long time, which I do think that they will, just from the way that this sneaker is built and the materials that are on it. But there is a major lack of protection in the toe. Even though there is that leather overlay here, it's just not enough protection to actually protect your foot. But again, if you're taking these on lighter trails, that's something that you might not necessarily notice. I also noticed when I was kind of bombing down some downhills that there is a lack of security in your forefoot. I was kind of falling over the edge of the midsole on both sides, whether I was going right or left. So moving on to the drop, which I'm not actually completely sure of. It doesn't say on the website. Feels like a 4 to 6 millimeter drop. It's not a huge drop off from heel to forefoot. So the final verdict of the Nike Juniper Trails is not necessarily for me, but I think for people who are looking for a affordable option and not necessarily want to go on like these crazy trails to run on, but have a nice little gravel trail in the back of their town or crushed rock trail throughout the city, these are a good affordable option. Also, I think these would be a good hiking shoe because they're fairly lightweight and that upper is built well enough that I think it's going to last. But overall, just not necessarily the type of trail runner for me. So that's about it, guys. That's my quick review on the Nike Juniper Trail. Hopefully that helps out some people on deciding whether they want to go for this or not. It is a pretty affordable compared to some of the other Nike trail runners out there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.